Chapter 11 Water and Fire Prison Dragon Stick Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If you can't, you must become a servant of my Zhang family. When Zhang He said this, he paused, his eyes seemed to be holding sharp swords, staring straight at Ding Ling. What do you think? That without waiting for Ding Ling's reply, he added. Of course, you can completely refuse. The previous instruction on marksmanship should be regarded as an offensive gift for what I just said. I bet. Ding Ling was very decisive. There are plugins, what he is least afraid of is similar bets. Are you sure? Zhang He was obviously a magnanimous gentleman. He thought about it and said. I'll tell you the truth. Ever since I obtained the water-fire prisoning dragon stick technique, I have worked hard to study and practice it. However, because I have no good teacher to teach me, I am only at the entry-level level so far, so I cannot teach you personally. You can only practice by yourself by looking at the atlas. The difficulty is as high as climbing to the sky. If you, Ding Ling, can even master advanced skills such as the water, fire and dragon prison technique, I, Zhang He, will be the best. Zhang He only said this last sentence in his heart and did not say it out loud. Obviously, he was certain that Ding Ling would never be able to successfully practice the water and fire prisoning dragon stick technique. After all, even an outstanding person like him, Zhang He, has mastered this stick technique for 5 or 6 years, and it is still only at the entry-level level. This water-fire prisoning dragon stick technique is a top-notch martial art that is as good as the 5 tigers soul-severing spear technique. There is no one to guide you, and there are no transitions in elementary, intermediate, or advanced stick techniques. This is like asking a child to lift a jack or asking an illiterate child to write an article. To say it is difficult to reach the sky is not wrong at all. Sure. Ding Ling was not frightened at all and answered quickly. Cheng Huan and Gao Lang just wanted to stop them, but seeing Ding Ling's firm and confident look on his face, they couldn't help but feel unsure and thought. If Ding Ling is really sure, this is his chance. It would be unwise to interrupt rashly. But isn't the stake a bit too high? That they did not want Ding Ling to become a servant of the Zhang family, because once this happens, Ding Ling will have no future. How high a position could a domestic servant have in society? But thinking about Ding Ling's previous bet to learn battlefield sword skills, they became suspicious again and pondered. Ding Ling is extremely talented in pile skills, sword skills, and spear skills. Doesn't he also have such talent in stick skills? That they couldn't believe it, because this is too incredible. A person who has never learned stick skills must learn the top stick skills as soon as he comes on stage. The probability of failure is almost 100%. Good. Zhang He was also a straightforward person. Seeing this, he stopped trying to persuade him. Instead, he took out a roll of cloth from his arms and threw it to Ding Ling. Catch it. Ding Ling jumped slightly, reached out and grabbed the cloth in the air, like a nimble bird. His movements were very neat, and he caught the cloth easily. Zhang He's eyes brightened slightly. Your agility and speed are far beyond that of ordinary third-rate generals. In terms of strength, you are not inferior to second-rate generals, and you have great potential for development. I will give you one last chance. If you are not willing to bet with me, just return the cloth to me. No need to say more. Ding Ling opened the cloth and started to read it, while Zhang He felt regretful. His heart was filled with joy. In his opinion, he will definitely win this time. Gao exhibition failed before. That must be because Ding Ling has learned basic and high-level sword skills, and has already achieved certain attainments in sword skills. Coupled with his extraordinary talent, he will understand the battlefield sword skills in a short period of time. Although it is extremely shocking, it is not I can't understand it. After all, General Pan Feng had a similar experience in axe, but this stick method is different. These are two completely different skills from sword skills. Moreover, there are no basic stick techniques for Ding Ling such as basic and advanced ones. Ding Ling is building a castle in the air out of thin air. How can this be successful? How can stick technique be accomplished without a foundation? Zhang He became more and more confident and waited for Ding Ling to fail. Ding Ling, on the other hand, carefully read the water, fire and dragon prison technique several times. A book quickly condensed on a bookshelf in the library. Water and fire prisoning dragon stick technique. Then, water fire prisoner dragon stick technique full level. Strength plus 1.4, agility plus 1, physique plus 1.2, click. This time, the strength and physique have increased a lot, and Ding Ling's bones have once again undergone huge changes, so that the external manifestations are extremely obvious. It can be clearly seen that Ding Ling's body bones suddenly lifted up a little. The armor that originally fit well is completely too small this time. The armor was loose before, but after being raised several times, the armor became very ill-fitting, and because this time the strength increased by more than 100 kilograms, plus the original strength of several hundred kilograms, it was so strong that the inferior armor was somewhat deformed. This scene fell into the eyes of Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Cheng Huan. It was terrifying. They looked at each other, and they could clearly see the horror in each other's eyes. No need to doubt, at this moment, Zhang He and the others completely regarded Ding Ling as a monster. How could a normal person practice martial arts like this? General Pan Feng is not so perverted. This is so explosive. Boom! Ding Ling danced the spear in his hand like a stick, but he saw stick shadows all over the sky. It was obviously a flexible spear, but Ding Ling was forced to use it with a sense of domineering power. It was like a fierce general holding a heavy stick, opening and closing in the battlefield, moving without restraint, and the fierceness of killing was enough to make the villains flee in fear. That kind of domineering aura. At one time, Gao Lan, Zhang He, and Cheng Huan thought that Ding Ling in front of them was a god who could imprison and capture dragons. Ha! When Ding Ling finished the water and fire dragon imprisonment stick method, he put away his gun and stood up, saluting the three people. The three people suddenly woke up. Zhang He even had a layer of fine and dense sweat on his forehead. He looked at Ding Ling as if he was looking at a monster. After a while, he smiled bitterly and said, "Alas, I underestimated the real genius. It seems that in the eyes of the peerless genius, I, Zhang He, can only be regarded as mediocre." Zhang He was hit hard. He has been practicing martial arts since he was a child. He is called the little tyrant in the clan. He has no rivals in the clan with a long spear. Even if he leaves the family and sets foot in various places in Jizhou, there are few rivals. Unexpectedly, today, he was beaten to a pulp by a new recruit. His self-confidence was almost destroyed. Yes. Gao Lan agreed with him and said with great relief. Fortunately, there are only a few people in this world, such as Ding Ling and General Pan Feng, who have extraordinary talents in certain aspects. Otherwise, we really can't survive and have no face to survive. Cheng Huan also interrupted from time to time. The three of them were amazed from time to time. Zhang He couldn't help but step forward to touch Ding Ling's bones. As a result, he was more and more puzzled. How could Ding Ling be so amazing just because his bones didn't look or feel outstanding? Get the Medal of Achievement. Chapter 12 Great Strength and Agility. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Received the Medal of Achievement. The future famous General Zhang He couldn't help but be amazed. Note, your performance has completely impressed Zhang He. He once thought you were a pervert and an abnormal human body. I want to study you carefully and find out what qualities in you lead to your martial arts practice so quickly. You have to be careful, you better not die. Otherwise, the corpses might be snatched by him for research. His obsession with martial arts is beyond your imagination. Another Medal of Achievement, but this comment made Ding Ling feel a little weird, and he couldn't help but avoid Zhang He's random touches. Zhang He took the initiative several times, but Ding Ling retreated several times. He noticed it, couldn't help but retracted his hand in embarrassment, coughed dryly, and changed the subject. Ding Ling, your armor doesn't fit you, why not wear mine? I have a spare set. I have one too. Cheng Huan hurriedly said. Brother Zhang, you don't need yours. Besides, Ding Ling is our soldier from Jizhou. We can still get a suit of armor that fits well in the treasury of Jizhou. It's best to prepare a long knife and a long stick for Ding Ling. Gao Lan couldn't help but interjected. Ding Ling's attainments in sword and stick skills are so profound that it would be a pity to discard them. His attainments in marksmanship are also extremely good. Zhang He spoke at the right time. Being able to stab 5 times in an instant, leaving a nearly 1-inch hole in a wooden pillar, this kind of spear skill is something that many second-rate generals don't have. It's best to equip him with a gun, by the way. How to use so many weapons? Cheng Huan frowned and his eyes suddenly lit up. It's better to build a halberd for Ding Ling. The halberd has the functions of a knife, a gun, and a stick. If he uses this halberd, Ding Ling can perfectly bring out his special skills. If he goes to the battlefield, ordinary people will encounter him. With all kinds of killing moves, he will definitely be caught off guard and be knocked off his horse. Good idea. Zhang He agreed. It's just a pity that I don't know how to use the halberd. If not, I could teach Ding Ling. The 3 of you said something to each other, and the rules were set. Ding Ling stayed by and didn't say much. Instead, he took the opportunity and looked at the character panel. Character, Ding Ling, age, 23 years old, race, human, camp, Jizhou Hanfu, occupation, soldier, level, 1. Strength, root bone 1 point for ordinary people, wisdom 2, strength 2.7 plus 0.3 plus 1.3 plus 0.1 plus 0.2 plus 0.3 plus 1.4 sad face 6.3, agility 2.8 plus 0.5 plus 1.5 plus 0.2 plus 0.3 plus 0.5 plus 1, 6.8. Constitution 2.7 plus 0.3 plus 1.3 plus 0.1 plus 0.2 plus 0.3 plus 1.2, 6.1, Defense 2, Charm 2. Weapons, a pair of broken armor and a broadsword. Skills, low-level sword skills, level 10, horse stake skills, level 10, elementary sword skills, level 10, advanced sword skills, level 10, battlefield sword skills, level 10, beginner, intermediate, advanced stage spear technique, level 10, water and fire imprisoning dragon stick technique, level 10, acupuncture, level 10, swimming, level 10, fitness, level 10, elementary psychology, level 10, the power surged to 6.3. A full force of more than 600 kilograms. One punch can easily kill an ordinary person. His agility was so high that Ding Ling felt like he was jumping 3 feet high anytime and anywhere, and he seemed to be floating on the clouds when he walked. It's obvious, the agility improves too fast, and I still can't fully adapt to it for a while. I guess it will take some time. However, Ding Ling is still very satisfied to have gained so much in such a short time after coming to the game world. After all, he learned all the real skills. Moreover, the improvement in strength, agility, and physical fitness is also real. After a while, Ding Ling returned to the recruit camp. This time he put on a brand new and shiny armor. The ordinary broadsword in his hand has also been replaced by a thick, high-quality long sword. Such long swords are used by generals. Originally, Ding Ling was not qualified, but Cheng Huan patted his chest as a guarantee and said that there was a wizard in the military camp who was qualified to use this sword. This aroused General Pan Feng's great curiosity. He asked Cheng Huan to lead Ding Ling to see him. Before Ding Ling could sit down in the recruit camp, he was dragged to see Pan Feng by a happy-looking Cheng Huan. "Can you let me have something to eat before I see the general?" Ding Ling felt extremely hungry at this moment. He estimated that this should be the sequelae of body elevation and changes in body bones. Obviously, he needs to supplement nutrition at this time. He didn't know how to eat in this game. After all, he had never experienced it before, so he could only ask Cheng Huan for help. "Come with me." Cheng Huan glanced at Ding Ling and realized what was going on. He pulled Ding Ling and left. "I was negligent. I forgot that practicing martial arts requires a lot of meat. You have made great progress in just 2 or 3 hours. If you don't add some meat in time, your potential will be damaged." While talking along the way, I was doing some popular science for Ding Ling. Cheng Huan finally understood that Ding Ling was a pure newbie. "By the way, I heard the term cute new from other recruits, and it is quite suitable to describe the current Ling. Don't understand anything, but his talent is as powerful as a monster. But this is fine, because it makes it easier for him to sell favors to Huan. This is called investing in advance. An hour later, Ling ate enough to eat a whole cow before he felt full. Huan was amazed. You are indeed a genius. Even in terms of food, you eat 100 times more than others. Generally, a stronger soldier can eat about 10 kilograms of beef. Ling ate a full 700 or 800 kilograms. I really don't know how this stomach can hold it. Ling was also puzzled. How could he eat so much? He was also shocked, but when he thought about his progress and thought that this was just a game, he felt relieved. Everything that is unreasonable can be considered reasonable in the game. After all, it is a game. However, this game is too realistic. After staying with Huan, Gao Lan and others for a while, Ling almost forgot that this is in the game world. Fortunately, eating meat is really useful. After eating a cow, Ling felt comfortable all over and no longer hungry. After eating and drinking, come with me to see General Pan Feng. Huan was excited. That is our Jizhou's unparalleled general. All soldiers worship him. Ling was speechless. At the same time, he was also a little surprised and doubtful. According to the romance of the Three Kingdoms, Pan Feng is just a fake. But judging from the attitudes of Huan, Gao Lan, Zhang He and others, this General Pan Feng is undoubtedly a real general. If General Pan Feng is really powerful, then there must be a big trick in the fight with Hua Xiong. Ling's mind turned, but he didn't object to meeting General Pan Feng. Follow Huan to the central army camp of Jizhou. Walking all the way, Gao Lan and Zhang He also joined his team. After knowing that Ling was going to meet General Pan Feng, they were very much looking forward to Ling's performance in front of General Pan Feng. At the same time, they were also very curious whether Ling could learn General Pan Feng's Peerless axe technique. Chapter 13, Peerless General Pan Feng. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. You must know that General Pan Feng's Peerless axe technique has never been learned by anyone except himself. General Pan Feng was also extremely sad about this. Zhen once said that whoever can find someone who meets his qualifications and requirements will definitely gain his deep friendship from Pan Feng. Just for the friendship of General Pan Feng, just worth a try. Besides, Ling now has some kind of teaching friendship with the three of them, which can be regarded as discovered by the three of them together. Isn't it too much for the three of them to go together and gain Pan Feng's friendship together? They have this idea. They told Ling about this together with a tacit understanding. Ling naturally said there was no problem. The three of them couldn't help but feel relieved, feeling that they had seen the right person. Ling couldn't help but become more pleasing to the eye, and their appearance is extremely abnormal in the eyes of other players. Some recruits who knew that Ling was a player were even more excited. That guy actually got the favor of the famous generals Zhang He and Gao Lan at the same time. Why does he have? The most important thing is that this guy actually took care of Zhang He and Gao Lan in just half a day. This is incredible. Unthinkable, that the players were shocked, looking at Ling one by one with confusion, jealousy, envy. It can be said to be extremely complicated. It's like we are both students. One is ranked first in the country and has received praise and trust from various senior officials, the other is at the bottom of the class. That sense of gap is enough to kill. Fortunately, the only thing that makes these players happy is, there is only one such awesome character. Everyone is standing still learning pile kung fu. This guy is definitely an old player, but I don't know if he is on the ranking list. You must take a good look when you go back. What's his name? My name is Ling. I remember it very clearly, that the fact that Ling is a player will be passed on to 10, and it will be passed on to hundreds. Soon the news spread throughout the camp. Everyone can't help but be shocked. Especially the new players who were in Zhang He and Gao Lan's camp were shocked to the extreme. Just because they thought of Ling's performance at this moment, the sword skills, moves, and momentum are simply invincible. How could it be a player? They couldn't believe it. After several inquiries and identifications, they had to confirm and accept this fact. I didn't expect that Ling is actually a player. It's so scary. That guy's sword skills are not so strong. I didn't expect that he is actually a player. I guess he is either an old player. Or he is also a knife player in the real world. Otherwise, how could he be so ridiculously good? The gap with us is too big. Ling didn't know that the newly recruited players in the Jizhou camp were already talking about him at a fever pitch. Now he has arrived at the Chinese army camp and met the legendary General Pan Feng. First meeting, Ling was truly stunned. It's not fear or anxiety, but it was the first time I saw such a tall, burly, and muscular man with my own eyes. I'm afraid it's more than 2 meters high. Big and round, strong and sturdy are not enough to describe him. His arms are so thick that he can run a horse, such a tough guy. The weapon in his hand, an axe, is even more exaggerated and scary. Ordinary soldiers couldn't lift it at all, and it required 2 people to carry it. Boom. Pan Feng picked up the axe from the soldier's shoulder with one hand, and stood the axe on the ground with a bang, making the ground tremble. Is this the peerless genius Ling you call? Pan Feng looked at Ling with interest, and after a while, he said with disappointment. Too skinny. Ling was speechless. He has grown, and evolved several times, and his height and figure are no worse than those of Zhang He and Gao Lan. Of course, compared to Pan Feng, he does look like a thin bamboo pole. Compared with you, General Pan Feng, I am naturally inferior. Zhang He couldn't help it anymore. But it's impossible to find anyone in the world who can match your figure, General Pan Feng. He said it very firmly. Pan Feng said. It is rumored that Zhou Lu Bu is known as a flying general. His height and size are not inferior to mine. I don't know whether it is true or not. Rumors are just rumors. They can't be trusted, Gao Lan also said. Besides, in the eyes of ordinary people, it is difficult for ordinary people to distinguish the slight difference between General Pan Feng's stature and Lu Bu's stature. 2. Pan Feng no longer cared about height and figure, but stared at Ling and said. Zhang He and Gao Lan are the bravest people in our army besides me. You can impress them too and get the praise of General Cheng Huan. It shows that your talent is indeed extraordinary. So be it. Pan Feng was also unambiguous and went straight to the point. I will personally teach you the basic, intermediate, and advanced axe techniques. If you are really like Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Cheng Huan, who can understand and comprehend in a very short period of time, then I will teach you the 3 techniques. 16-way Tiangang axe technique. 36 Tiangang axe techniques. This name looks so familiar. Suddenly, a flash of lightning flashed through my mind. Ling remembered. It seems that Cheng Yaojin's 3-blade axe in the Sui and Tang dynasties was derived from the 36 Tiangang axe method. Because this axe technique was too difficult, Cheng Yaojin only understood the 3 axes in front of him, splitting the head, picking teeth, and picking out the ears. As for whether this axe technique was learned by Cheng Yaojin, we will naturally know it later when we watch Pan Feng's teachings. It is indeed the 36th Tiangang axe technique. Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Cheng Huan looked at each other, and they all clearly understood each other's faces and eyes, and they all thought. No one can learn this axe technique except General Pan Feng. Learn it all. It's just because this axe technique's killing moves are too fierce and sharp, and the techniques used are extremely complex and changeable. There is no such terrifying stature and bearing as General Pan Feng. It is absolutely impossible to learn everything. It's like we can only learn the first few tricks, so it's better not to learn them. Zhang He and Gao Lan naturally had the opportunity to learn the 36 Tiangang axe techniques. This is because Pan Feng never thought about hiding his clumsiness from beginning to end. On the contrary, he very much hoped that someone could inherit this axe technique and did not want this axe technique to be lost from now on. It's a pity that Zhang He and Gao Lan can't learn it either, so they might as well specialize in the family secrets. They understand the principle of biting off more than they can chew. In particular, the prerequisites for this kind of axe technique are extremely terrifying. Even if they have a strong understanding, they may not be able to grow to the stature and altitude of General Pan Feng in this life, so they will naturally give up practicing. They brought Ding Ling here because they wanted to see if Ding Ling could fully learn the Tiangang axe technique, and if he could, that would be outrageous. Watch it. Pan Feng didn't waste time. After saying a few polite words, he went straight to the core, principles, essence, and meaning of the basic axe technique. Zhang He and others on the side were also recognizing and listening, thinking thoughtfully from time to time. Chapter 14 Advanced Axe Techniques. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. He explained it twice with gestures. Pan Feng stopped, looked at Ding Ling, and asked, "Do you need to explain it for the third time?" "If you need, I can explain it again." His attitude was kind. He was completely different from the Pan Feng I imagined. He was even more different from the character image in the TV series. Ding Ling was full of emotion, but he said, "No need, General." He closed his eyes slightly. A book had already taken shape in the library. Basic Axe Technique Full Level. Strength plus 0.2. Agility plus 0.1. Constitution plus 0.1. It only took a moment. Basic Axe Technique reached the maximum level. Ding Ling also fully understood the various techniques of axe technique at this moment. He opened his eyes. Pan Feng immediately said, "How is it?" "No problem." "Oh." Pan Feng was a little surprised. "If you can really master this elementary axe technique after just 2 explanations, then I must admit that you have an extraordinary talent." He handed the axe in his hand to Ding Ling. "Try it." Ding Ling took it, his hand sank, and he almost lost his grip, and his feet staggered. He was shocked. This axe must be more than 200 or 300 pounds. To fight with such an axe, you will be injured if you hit it, and you will die if you touch it. No wonder Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Cheng Huan admired Pan Feng so much. Just look at the relaxed and natural appearance of Pan Feng when he used the axe technique, and you know that he must be extremely powerful. A real fierce general. Hua Xiong can kill Pan Feng in 3 rounds. Isn't this funny? There must be something hidden. I was negligent. Pan Feng immediately took the axe from Ding Ling and told the soldier beside him, "Go get a lighter axe." After a while, the soldier came with a 60 gene axe, and said it was the lightest axe in the barracks. Pan Feng looked at Ding Ling. "Can you do it?" Didn't he say he could do it? Obviously, he also realized that Ding Ling's strength was extraordinary, otherwise he wouldn't be able to catch and lift an axe weighing hundreds of kilograms. "Let me try." Ding Ling took the axe and weighed it. It was indeed a bit heavy, but it was still within the acceptable range. The previous long sword weighed 40 to 50 kilograms, but when Ding Ling used it, it was as light as a feather. Now it's just a little heavier, but it's not a big problem. Clang. He began to swing the axe. In his hand, the axe was as light as a goose feather. He chopped, or cut with great agility. Sometimes he looked like a crane spreading its wings and pecking at the enemy, and sometimes he looked like a fierce man who opened up the mountains. In Ding Ling's hand, the axe seemed to have become a magical weapon. In the end, he turned it into a wind wheel. With a crack, he split the earth directly. "Good." Before Cheng Huan and the others could speak, Pan Feng applauded and praised. Cheng Huan, Zhang He, Gao Lan and the other 3 were right. Ding Ling is indeed a genius. He gave Zhang He and the other 3 an admiring look, and the expression on his face was self-evident. If Ding Ling really learned the 36 Tiangang axe techniques, Zhang He and the other 3 would receive his deep friendship. Zhang He and the other 3 understood, and they were all excited and happy. Cheng Huan was better. Zhang He and Gao Lan are only military commanders now. If they are promoted by Pan Feng, they will definitely have a bright future. Promotion is as easy as drinking water. Thinking of this, Zhang He and Gao Lan looked at Ding Ling involuntarily, with the expectation and encouragement in their eyes almost overflowing from their eyes. They were also extremely shocked by Ding Ling's talent in axe skills, but now the good news completely diluted this surprise. They now hope that Ding Ling can succeed more urgently than Ding Ling. Next is the intermediate axe skills. Pan Feng demonstrated it twice and looked at Ding Ling. Ding Ling closed his eyes, a book immediately condensed in the library, Intermediate Axe Skills. After a moment, Intermediate Axe Skills Full Level, Strength plus 0.3, Agility plus 0.2, Physique plus 0.2, the mysteries of various intermediate axe skills can enter Ding Ling's soul and bone marrow at this moment, becoming an instinct for him. His strength, physique, and agility have been improved again, bones and internal organs were undergoing subtle changes, the axe, which was originally a little heavy, suddenly became lighter in his hand. Ding Ling was not vague and directly performed the intermediate axe technique, boom. He wielded the axe like a mad bull plowing the land or a dragon emerging from the water, with a majestic and heavy aura to the extreme. The iron-blooded domineering aura that came over them made Pan Feng, Zhang He and others become solemn. When Ding Ling finished performing a set of axe techniques, Zhang He and others applauded and praised, expressing their amazement. Pan Feng also nodded involuntarily and said, "Very good. In the whole world, I am perhaps the only one who can match your talent in axe techniques." He was amazed and looked Ding Ling up and down. "I never thought that I would actually meet a genius like you in my lifetime." He sighed and said, "It's a pity that you are so thin and small. I'm afraid it's impossible for you to learn the 36 Tiangang axe techniques." "How can you know if you don't try?" Zhang He joined in. "You should know that Ding Ling's talent is too terrifying. If he can't learn it, who else can have the chance to learn it?" "That's right." Pan Feng agreed with Zhang He's words, and then began to explain the high-level axe technique to Ding Ling and practiced it. "Watch it. This is the true mystery and essence of the high-level axe technique. Only when you have completely mastered the high-level axe technique, you will have a 1% chance of learning the 36 Tiangang axe techniques, otherwise everything will be over." Boom! Pan Feng was tall and burly, with an axe in his hand, dancing like a demon king descending to the world and Pangu creating the world. Ding Ling had a very intuitive feeling that if he faced Pan Feng at this moment, he would definitely not be able to stop his axe. Is this a super first-class general? Or a first-class top general? Ding Ling was surprised, and the look in his eyes when he looked at Pan Feng became more and more strange. Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Cheng Huan obviously thought they were not as good as Pan Feng, but they watched with great interest. When Pan Feng finished, they all praised Pan Feng for being so amazing. Pan Feng waved his hand. "Enough, stop flattering me." He looked at Ding Ling. "Is it okay?" "No problem." Ding Ling closed his eyes. The book Advanced Axe Technique was immediately condensed in the library, in an instant. Advanced Axe Technique Full Level, Strength plus 0.5, Agility plus 0.3, Constitution plus 0.3. Compared to the emphasis on agility in spear techniques, this axe technique is obviously more strength-oriented. Each time it is upgraded, the points of strength increase are higher. This time, a lot of points have been added. The axe in Ding Ling's hand became more and more handy in his hand. He opened his eyes, then waved his hand, and actually chopped and cut with the axe in one hand. Clang! The axe was extremely efficient in chopping and cutting, and Zhang He and his men had no doubts. Chapter 15 36 Ways of the Heavenly Axe. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Ding Ling's current axe skills alone are enough to compete with many second-rate generals. Some third-rate generals would be killed by Ding Ling's axe just after they met. His axe skills have reached the highest level in the basic stage. There is nothing wrong with it. It is too perfect. After a while, Ding Ling put away his axe and stood. Zhang He and the others came back to their senses and applauded. Pan Feng was also surprised and looked at Ding Ling with admiration. "Your talent in axe skills is beyond my imagination. I didn't reach the perfect stage as quickly as you when I comprehended the high-level axe skills." His face was strange, and there were ripples in his heart. "I now understand the feelings of Zhang He and the others. Meeting someone who is more talented than oneself is indeed shocking, surprising, and disappointing." Shock and surprise are needless to say. Disappointment is naturally a blow. After all, he is no longer the unicorn who is far ahead in this industry. But the higher your talent in axe skills, the happier I am. Pan Feng changed the topic and laughed. I am looking forward to your performance more and more now. He walked to the side, took out an ancient bamboo slip from a bookshelf and handed it to Ding Ling. This is an ancient bamboo slip that I got from a mysterious place by chance. This bamboo slip is not rotten by water or burned by fire, it can be called a divine object. Seeing Ding Ling took the bamboo slip and flipped through it by himself, Pan Feng didn't mind and continued to explain with a smile. I don't know the origin of the bamboo slip. I don't know who forged it, but in addition to a set of 36 Tiangang axe skills, this bamboo slip also has a set of matching breathing methods. But... Ding Ling suddenly looked up at Pan Feng. I didn't see the breathing method in this bamboo slip. Zhang He and others also looked at Pan Feng. The breathing method is extremely rare. Some families regard it as a treasure and will never pass it on. In the eyes of Zhang He and his people, the moves are dead, but the breathing method is alive. In terms of preciousness, the breathing method is far more precious than the moves, and can be regarded as the foundation of a family. Pan Feng was able to pick up the breathing method that matched the 36 Heavenly Gang axe techniques. This luck is really great. There is a reason for that. Pan Feng's face showed a strange look. It's strange. After I learned the breathing method, it suddenly disappeared from the bamboo slips. After that, no matter how hard I tried to recall it, I couldn't remember it. So I'm sorry. He regretted. I can't pass on the matching breathing method to you. He sighed. Without the matching breathing method, the difficulty of learning the 36 Tiangang axe techniques is beyond imagination. He pointed at himself. Even if it's me, if I don't have the matching breathing method, I will definitely not be able to learn all the Tiangang axe techniques. At most, I can learn the first dozen or so axe techniques. Because the more I go back, the more fierce the Tiangang axe techniques are, which is too harmful to the body. Without the breathing method as a match, it may hurt the internal organs. It's really not worthwhile to hurt the enemy by 800. Pan Feng was still explaining the details and origins of the 36 Tiangang axe techniques. Ding Ling listened and closed his eyes slightly. He had already read through the ancient bamboo slips. After closing his eyes, in just a moment, there was already a book in the library, with a few large characters engraved on it, 36 Ways of the Heavenly Axe. Boom! All kinds of incredible content, essence, and secrets were transmitted to Ding Ling's sea of consciousness, internal organs, and bone marrow, turning into his instincts. 36 Ways of the Heavenly Axe full level. Strength plus 2.4. Agility plus 1.6. Constitution plus 2.4. Crack. Bones are exploding. Internal organs are trembling. Ding Ling's figure is changing, and his height is rising again with a crackling sound. A wonderful force field change has occurred around him invisibly. It seems that there are fierce whirlwinds spinning around him. At this moment, Ding Ling is like a mountain god who guards the mountain. An incredible breath of power surges out of his body, so much so that it begins to affect the void outside. This? Pan Feng shut up and looked at Ding Ling in disbelief, his eyes almost popped out. How is this possible? No way. Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Chen Huan were also in doubt. It can't be that. How long has it been? Less than a quarter of an hour. Has he succeeded in practicing? This is absolutely impossible. It should be that Ding Ling's accumulation of experience has led to some subtle changes in his body. It is impossible for him to succeed in practicing the 36 Heavenly Axe techniques. After all, the time is too short. Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Chen Huan all admired Pan Feng's strength and had seen the first dozen moves of the 36 Heavenly Axe techniques. I have to say, it's too difficult. They tried to practice it, but they all gave up in the end. It's not something that people can learn. Besides, there is no matching breathing method to cultivate the internal organs. Even if they learn it, it is difficult to exert the power of the Tiangang axe technique. Why learn it? But what about Ding Ling? Without the breathing method. He actually mastered the Tiangang axe technique. Zhang He and the other two stared at Ding Ling with their eyes piercing with surprise, bewilderment, expectation, doubt, puzzlement, and other thoughts, which could be described as a mixture of emotions. Clang! Ding Ling opened his eyes, without saying a word, holding the axe. He began to practice the 36 moves of Tiangang axe technique. This time, he gained several hundred kilograms of strength, became stronger, had longer endurance, and breathed longer. Needless to say, he was very agile. This made the 60-kilogram axe in his hand like a toy, light and fluttering, as if it had no weight at all. He used the 36 moves of Tiangang axe technique, which was as light as a feather and perfect as a feather. All kinds of incredible moves were displayed in his hands one by one. Each one was like a thunderbolt, an antelope hanging on a horn, without any trace or pattern to follow. But they were all like the work of gods, so exquisite and incredible that people could not help but be amazed. Boom! As the last move of the axe fell on the ground, with a loud bang, the ground was directly split into a long and thin gap of 4 or 5 meters in length. Ding Ling took a long breath and put away the axe and stood up. Zhang He and his companions were suddenly awakened, and some applauded, some were shocked, and some simply praised and exclaimed loudly. It's amazing! Is this the 36 heavenly axe technique? I didn't expect that it would be so different in Ding Ling's hands. Too strong. Ding Ling is definitely comparable to a first-class general now. How long has it been? He has grown to this point. It's amazing. He is simply a god of war. Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Cheng Huan were amazed, and looked at Ding Ling as if he was looking at a pervert or a monster. How could a normal person make such great progress? Chapter 16 E-Level Achievement Medal. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Zhang He and the others are right. Pan Feng couldn't help but admired and praised. It's really amazing, so amazing. I didn't learn so fast. You know, I was like a god possessing me, and I unknowingly made the matching. I've learned the breathing method, and I've also learned the 36 Tiangang axe techniques in a daze. He stared at Ding Ling with bright eyes and said. But you are different. You don't have the corresponding breathing method. I didn't have time to guide you. You just looked at the pictures and text, and in less than half a moment, you understood the 36 Tiangang axe techniques. This at such a speed that even I can't help but be amazed. He sighed. Genius, really such a genius. I, Pan Feng, have finally found the successor of the 36th Tiangang axe technique. Now I have no regrets. He looked at Zhang He and the others and said with a smile. I keep my word, and you three will be my friends from now on. If anyone dares to bully you and claim my name, they will say that they are the ones protected by me, Pan Feng. Zhang He and the others were overjoyed and hurriedly bowed to express their thanks. Pan Feng waved his hand, indicating that he should not be so polite in the future. They are all brothers and friends. After a few polite greetings, Pan Feng turned his attention to Ding Ling again. He circled around Ding Ling a few times. Unable to bear it anymore, he started touching Ding Ling's bones like Zhang He. That's the time. The beep sounds loudly. Obtaining the E-Level Achievement Medal, you have received heartfelt appreciation and admiration from Jizhou's unparalleled God General Pan Feng. Note: 1. Your talent, understanding, and learning ability have completely overwhelmed Pan Feng. He can't help but start to explore the truth about why you are so awesome. He will touch your bones, and he may even invite you to conduct blood tests and other experiments together. There is no doubt that this is a martial arts member who is more fanatical than Zhang He. His tenacity in pursuing martial arts is beyond imagination. You have to be careful, don't die. Because the corpse falling into Pan Feng's hands may be even worse than falling into Zhang He's hands. Note: 2. Achievement medals are divided into levels. Congratulations, you have received a graded medal. This will bring you tons of benefits. Ding Ling's pupils shrank slightly. He didn't expect that achievement medals had levels. And look at the comments. This achievement medal is indeed of great use, but I don't know how to use it. it seems that everything will have to wait until we return to the player's square to explore. As for Feng. Ling glanced at him and saw that his eyes were glowing green as he kept groping for her. Goosebumps appeared all over Ling's body and she couldn't help but take a few steps back. Feng didn't seem to understand yet. Although his eyes kept changing, the confusion on his face became more and more obvious. Watching Ling retreat, he couldn't help but take a step forward, wanting to find out again. Ling retreated again. Feng moved forward again, like this 3 times. He couldn't help but coughed a few times as a reminder. Feng finally came to his senses, rubbed his hands in embarrassment, and said with an awkward smile. "This is the first time I have seen a genius like you, Ling, and I am very curious about how your bones are. So I was very offended just now, I hope you don't mind." What bad words can Ling say? It can only mean it's okay. Feng felt relieved, and then said with a puzzled expression. "I just touched your bones, Ling, and there seems to be nothing surprising about you. How did you learn the 36 Tiangang axe techniques in a short period of time? Swish." Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Chen Huan all looked sideways at Ling. Especially Zhang He, the desire to explore in his eyes was magnified to the limit at this moment. He really wants to know the answer. "Otherwise, I wouldn't have done the same thing as Feng before." "I don't know either." Ling activated her acting skills at full level and acted very confused. "I seem to be born this way." Ling planned to tell no one about the library plug-in, and it was so bad that it got to her stomach. "Is that so?" Feng was very sorry. "That's such a pity. That I have to say, although Ling's full-level acting skills do not help improve his own strength at all, it can still have miraculous effects when used in key places, just like this moment. He had perfectly fooled and deceived Zhang He and Feng. It's not that they're not smart, but Ling's acting skills are so realistic. Simply impeccable and extremely natural. This is the power of full-level acting skills. If Ling became an actor now, he would most likely beat up 99% of the stars, kings and queens. Really powerful guy. It seems that it may not be a matter of fundamental concern. Zhang He guessed. It may be related to understanding, meridians, internal organs, etc., but with our current level and knowledge, we cannot explore these at all. Maybe so. Several people thought about it for a while, but couldn't figure it out. Everyone looked at Ling with more and more strange eyes. "It's like looking at a rare treasure," Feng even said bluntly. "The 36 Tiangang axe techniques without the matching breathing technique can damage the enemy by 1000 and damage yourself by 800. How did you achieve the complete set of axe techniques without any damage? Once you understand it, it will come naturally." Ling said it very naturally, but these words pierced Feng's heart like a sharp arrow, almost piercing his pride and self-confidence. His face looked a little unnatural. The expressions of Zhang He and his companions became even more exciting. Each of them was like being hit by a critical strike, but soon, they came to their senses. Zhang He and Gao Lan thought. People like Ling are rare in the world, and there may be only one such person in this era. He can be said to be a chosen person. Such a genius is rare in 1,000 years. Although I am also a genius, there are people who can match my talent. For example, Zhang He, Gao Lan, is not worse than me, not to mention General Feng, Zhou Yuan Lu Bu and others. Therefore, there is no need for me to compare with a monster like Ling. If not, my self-confidence will definitely be hit. No matter what outrageous things happen to him in the future, just take it easy. Thinking like this, Gao Lan and Zhang He were relieved and no longer entangled in why Ling could learn the 36 Tiangang axe techniques in a short time. After a while, Feng took Ling, Zhang He, Gao Lan, Chen Huan and others to meet Jizhou Mu Han Fu. Han Fu usually stayed in Jizhou Mu's exclusive mansion. The gorgeous mansion made Ling see for the first time how the rich and powerful people in ancient times lived. It can only be said to be extremely luxurious. Many of the furnishings and installations in the outer courtyard were the first time Ling saw them. He was an ordinary person in his previous life, he is still an ordinary person in this life. Although he has the library plug-in, he has only had it for a few days. Chapter 18 Military Commander's New Equipment. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. An appointed Ding Ling as the military commander, commanding 400 elite soldiers to go to Zhongqiu, Zhao State to suppress bandits. Ding Ling looked up at Pan Feng in astonishment. Pan Feng nodded and smiled at Ding Ling, indicating that he should not doubt. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Ding Ling could not question at this time, so he had to suppress his confusion. Get the Medal of Achievement. You have become the military commander of the Jizhou camp. Note, this is the result of Pan Feng's efforts against all odds. He hastily promoted you with certain risks. But he believes that you have the ability. He is more certain from the bottom of his heart that you will not disappoint his high hopes. At this time, a prompt sound suddenly sounded. It made Ding Ling seem to understand something again. He took a long breath. He really didn't expect that becoming a military commander could also get a Medal of Achievement. What about becoming a garrison commander or a military officer? These two official ranks are lower than the military commander, and Ding Ling is not sure whether they can succeed. However, being an official actually has a Medal of Achievement. Ding Ling naturally had no reason to refuse. After a while, some generals glanced at Ding Ling with strange expressions, with scrutiny, jealousy, and envy in their eyes. They sighed and then slowly left. When only Zhang He and a few others were left in the big tent, Pan Feng then said, Ding Ling, I promoted you to the military Sima because I believe you have the ability. Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Cheng Huan nodded involuntarily, obviously agreeing with this very much. But General, the governor of Jizhou. Ding Ling hesitated. Don't worry. Pan Feng made the decision and laughed. I have the final say in the military affairs of Jizhou. I took you to see the Lord before, hoping that you could leave a good impression on the Lord. It's a pity that he didn't promote you on the spot. Pan Feng glanced at Ding Ling. Ding Ling called the governor of Jizhou, and obviously did not recognize Han Fu. He also understood Han Fu's shortcomings, and his heart was also tense. A genius like Ding Ling can't be let go easily. With this idea in mind, he would not care about Han Fu's idea at all and directly appoint Ding Ling as the military commander on the spot. As the absolute commander of the Jizhou camp, he has the right and qualification. Go and come back quickly. I believe that some bandits will be easily defeated by you. He took new armor, weapons, and an official seal representing the military commander from the side, and handed it to Ding Ling in person with a solemn face. Ding Ling, don't let me down. Don't worry, General. Ding Ling responded solemnly. Half an hour later, Ding Ling was hungry again because of his rapid improvement, so he had a full meal of a cow again. Under the amazed expressions of Cheng Huan and Gao Lan, he wore a general's armor and held a Feng Tianhuaji weighing 80 kilograms, and appeared on the military field. He scanned the whole field. There were a full 400 elite soldiers. Each one was energetic and extraordinary. Their bodies were even stronger, sturdier, and taller, and they all held heavy machetes, and they were obviously soldiers with extraordinary combat power, especially some of the garrison commanders and military officers, who were wearing armor that was different from ordinary soldiers, and looked outstanding and mighty. Meet the military commander. 400 people saluted and paid homage to Ding Ling. The sound shook the void in all directions. Ding Ling's body shook, and his pupils dilated slightly. For the first time, he felt the iron blood and heroic spirit. His heart couldn't help but beat faster. This was a manifestation of excitement and excitement. Sure enough, every man has a dream of becoming a general. I am no exception. Ding Ling thought so in his heart, and said something according to the procedure. After that, holding the Feng Tianhuaji, he easily jumped onto a strong horse, pulled the reins, and with the sound of the strong horse's cry, he shouted and drove the horse to gallop in front, rushing out of the camp like lightning. In the real world, he has read books such as Equestrianism, How to Control Horses, and How to Advance in Horsemanship. It can be said that his horsemanship has reached the maximum level. It is difficult to find someone who is better at horsemanship than him. Therefore, even if he has never ridden a horse, once he gets on the horse, it seems that his whole person is in harmony with the horse, and he can easily control the horse and achieve synchronization. These scenes fell into the eyes of Zhang He and others, and they couldn't help but exclaimed. This horsemanship is really amazing. I'm afraid it's hard to find a match in the world today. I didn't expect Ding Ling's horsemanship to be so good. I was worried that he couldn't control this horse before. It seems that I thought too much. Pan Feng was quite relieved. This Ding Ling is really born to be a general. His potential is more than that. If he returns successfully this time, I will persuade the Lord to promote him again. Zhang He and others were speechless, but thinking about Ding Ling's talent and strength, they were relieved. I have a history with Tong Yuan. Pan Feng explained. Even if I promote him, I will only temporarily promote Ding Ling to Changshan County to be a local military officer. General, do you want Ding Ling to learn martial arts from Tong Yuan? Zhang He looked sideways. Yes. Pan Feng nodded and smiled. My breathing method is divine and cannot be taught to others. And your breathing method is a family secret method, and it is not easily passed on to outsiders. So I can only find a hermit to teach Ding Ling the breathing method. And the only master I know is Tong Yuan. He is also the most selfless and generous. As long as he likes his disciples, he will teach them everything he knows, that he said with certainty. I believe Ding Ling is qualified to be favored by Tong Yuan. Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Cheng Huan nodded involuntarily. How could Tong Yuan not favor such a genius as Ding Ling? How could it be possible? The other generals just felt that they were not sure about the power of Ding Ling. But seeing that Zhang He, Gao Lan, and Cheng Huan all praised Ding Ling so much, they could not help but secretly keep an eye on him and prepare to make friends with him when Ding Ling returned victoriously. The fact that Ding Ling became the military commander was not concealed. There were even a few players among his 400 elite soldiers. However, these players were too surprised and did not have time to pass the news to others, although so. But there were quite a few players who saw Ding Ling riding a horse and leading the army. Soon, this news spread throughout the Jizhou camp. All the players were stunned and then in an uproar. In less than a day, Ding Ling went from being an unknown soldier to a military commander. This is simply a fairy tale. This is the first time I've heard such an outrageous thing. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, who would believe it? Ding Ling is definitely a master in real life, and he is definitely a veteran player. Look at how skillfully he rides a horse. Do ordinary families have the leisure and money to train such an equestrian master? The players looked at him sideways, and some players who went offline and came online again even spread the news that Ding Ling ranked first on the comprehensive list and was still a newcomer. It was like a mine thrown into a fish pond. Boom. Chapter 20 The eldest daughter of the Zhen family. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. So. How could he feel so uncomfortable? The only two uncomfortable things, the blood that spurted out when he stabbed the bandit to death, and the head that was cut off and hung on the side, which was hideous and bloody and made people feel disgusted and horrified, but perhaps because of the terrifying improvement in physical fitness and the power of bravery all over his body, Ding Ling's blood boiled after the discomfort. It's just a small test. Ding Ling forcibly suppressed the impulse in his heart, pulled the reins, and drove the strong horse towards the direction of the road. Not long after, arrived on the road, Ding Ling saw a beautiful girl standing next to a carriage. This beautiful girl was obviously the leader of this group of people. A dozen guards with blood-stained armor stood on one side very respectfully. There were also some other servants, the same. Only the girl stood upright, and at first glance, she was a lady from a wealthy family who had been raised for many years, with a very unique and pleasing temperament. Seeing Ding Ling coming, the beautiful girl's almond eyes were as white as autumn water, and a ripple passed through them. She stepped forward to greet Ding Ling. Hello, General. Ding Ling nodded, without saying much, and just signaled the scout to call the others back. The scout looked at Ding Ling with some surprise at this moment, and went very obediently. The scout was an old player. He has been playing this game for almost a month. He is also a person with some talent, and he has been taught by Zhang He himself, so his progress is very impressive, and his strength should not be underestimated now. He was a little proud at first, but today, when he saw Ding Ling killing the bandit leader with his own eyes, he was casual, natural, and relaxed. He was shocked, but also completely convinced. He walked and thought. I don't know where this Ding Ling came from. He is so strong that it's ridiculous. Just his observation, the bandit leader was definitely a master who was close to being a third-rate general, but Ding Ling stabbed him to death with a halberd as if he was killing a chicken. Seeing Ding Ling's unsatisfied look, it was obvious that he had not used his full strength and was not satisfied yet. What a pervert. The scout sighed. This guy is definitely the next Kong Tianhua. Kong Tianhua is now ranked first in the player power rankings. A real tough guy. In addition to the fact that he is very tough in the real world, it is also because he met a hermit master in the game and was taught a set of peerless magic skills. And what about Ding Ling? He was so tough after just staying in the Jizhou barracks for less than a day. Not really. He must be a beta test player, that the scout was sure. I just don't know where he ranks among the beta test players. Why didn't I see him on the strength, agility, physique and other rankings before? General. The beautiful girl bit her lip, as if it was difficult to speak, but still pleaded with tears. I have a favor to ask. Oh, Ding Ling looked sideways. Just tell me. He would help if he could, and Ding Ling would never help if he couldn't or it was difficult, although he likes beautiful women, but he is not a disgraceful dog. If not, he would not have agreed so straightforwardly when his girlfriend in this life asked for a breakup. The Baibua bandits suddenly broke into Zhongqiu city. They were numerous and killed people wantonly. My father and his people personally covered the retreat to help me escape. Now I think it must be. The beautiful girl told the details in detail. At the end, she was extremely sad and burst into tears. Ding Ling's heart tightened. Baibua bandits? He remembered, Hua Tai, Li Lu, Han Xian, and Hu Kai were the leading generals of the Baibua army, and Yang Feng seemed to have a close relationship with the Baibua army and had joined the Baibua army. Ding Ling was not afraid of these people, he was concerned about Su Huang beside Yang Feng. This man was one of the famous 5 generals in the future. A famous general of Chao Wei. I wonder why there are so few bandits. Why do we need support? Just some soldiers from the county town are enough to solve the problem. How could it be possible to alarm Jizhou Muhan Fu? Now it seems that I may have killed only some minor characters. Ding Ling came here to suppress bandits, and now it seems, the bandits he wants to suppress are most likely the Baibua bandits, but the Baibua bandits are powerful, how can a mere 400 people deal with it? Ding Ling frowned and thought, seeing this, the beautiful girl misunderstood and thought that Ding Ling was unwilling, and she couldn't help but feel even more sad. Ding Ling heard the low cry, looked sideways, and saw that it was indeed her, and couldn't help but say casually. Don't worry, when I gather people, I will rush to Zhongqiu and try my best to save more people. I am not sure whether I can save your father. Thank you, General. The beautiful girl cried with joy and bowed down hurriedly. Achievement Medal, received the high gratitude of Zhenjiang, the eldest daughter of the Zhen family, the richest man in Jizhou. Note, Zhenjiang is grateful, polite, and affectionate. She is grateful to you. Now that you have stated that you are going to save her father, she is even more moved. There is no doubt that if you save her father, she will most likely be willing to marry you. Ding Ling was slightly startled. He didn't expect that the woman he saved casually was Zhenjiang. There is something wrong with this script. According to the plot of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Zhenjiang shouldn't be here at this time, but soon, thinking of the massive influx of players who knew the plot of the Three Kingdoms, Ding Ling felt relieved. Needless to say, the plot of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms must have collapsed now. No one can tell what the future will be like. But, will this Zhenjiang actually pledge her love to him? Ding Ling's heart skipped a beat, but he couldn't help but look at Zhenjiang twice. The more he looked, the brighter his eyes became. Bright eyes, bright and shining. At first glance, she was just an ordinary beautiful girl, but now the more I look at her, the more beautiful she is. She is like fine wine, the more you taste it, the more delicious it is. This is a very rare girl with inner charm. Ding Ling saw Zhenjiang's shy face, and it was obvious that he was staring at her and she noticed it. Ding Ling coughed dryly and turned his head away uncomfortably. He silently repeated in his heart several times, mind is emptiness, emptiness is color. Only then did he feel a little calmer. Now is not the time to be unbridled and indulgent. He did not forget his goal. He must clear all the levels before he can enjoy it. Duh. Shi Lu Lu. The sound of horses neighing continued. It was the 400 elite soldiers who returned one after another, and many of them had a head hanging on the side of their horses. This was their trophy, apparently. The small wave of banditry just now was no pressure for these elite soldiers. Ding Ling asked Xinjiang to hide in the dense forest with his guards. He led 400 elite soldiers and rushed towards Zhongqiu city like a torrent. Ding Ling also figured it out. He is now comparable to a first-class general, and he is proficient in weapons such as knives, sticks, guns, and axes. He also has the full-level 36-way Tiangang axe method as a trump card. There is no need for him to be timid. You have to know that he is leading 400 elite cavalrymen. If he can win, he will fight. If he can't win, can't he run away? Let's try the level of the Baibua bandits first.